these comments by Trump that nobody really necessarily believes. I think all the Democrats who want to believe it, believe it. No one else really genuinely believes that. No one who knows the guy or has heard him say, talk to our guys believes it. But do you think they move the meter at all politically? Or look, let's say they were true. Do you think the general public is bothered by things Trump says by now? I say it's all baked in the cake.
Absolutely not. And really, frankly, this is just the latest attempt from the left to discredit this president and his supporters in whatever way they possibly can. I think as we get closer to Election Day, every week we start to see a new conspiracy theory pop up. It was the United States Postal Service. Now we're seeing anonymous comments coming from an inside source about veterans in our country. And they are so far-fetched, and they continue to become even more far-fetched as we get closer to Election Day. I don't believe that the general public believes anything of the sort related to these alleged comments from the president, and I think we'll see that on Election Day.
How do you think it's going to play with the voters you need, the middle-of-the-road voters you need, that Joe Biden first and now Kamala Harris have gone and elevated Jacob Blake, a man charged with some really, really ugly sexual assault crimes and who was resisting arrest? They've turned this guy into some kind of lion. He's getting visits with the vice presidential candidate. Do you think people are grossed out by this, or am I the old, out-of-touch guy with too much gray in his beard, and that's how people think now?
People absolutely are, and law and order really is the #1 subject that voters are going to be looking for leadership on as we approach Election Day in just a few weeks right around the corner. Ultimately, we need strong leadership in the White House that stands up against the riots, the looting, and the senseless violence that continues to grow in our cities. And I believe that voters are going to see so much more leadership coming from the incumbent president, Donald J. Trump.
Voters are worried about safety. You see Biden, as you just mentioned, you see Biden talking more and more about he's the safety guy. How are they going to balance their, obvious open support for chaos for the past few months with this newfound respect for law and order? It would actually suck to be a Democrat and have to balance that.
Absolutely, it would. And former Vice President Joe Biden has lately started to come out and say that it's time for America to drop the violence, to drop the looting and the rioting, and to move forward with peace and unity. And the vice presidential candidate, Senator Kamala Harris, has started to say the same. But for most voters, that's just too little too late. For months, we've seen encouragement of this violence happening across the country from the left side of the aisle, including raising money to pay for bail funds, including advocating for people to be able to be arrested and continue just propagating as much violence as possible within our nation's urban areas to continue causing as much chaos as possible in 2020. We've already seen chaos start to spread with the result of the COVID-19 pandemic and senseless regulations being passed by tyrannical governors and mayors across the country. And this is just another thing that the left is trying to cause chaos about as we approach Election Day. So I hear the words coming from our candidates on the left side of the aisle, and voters are seeing those things start to spread on social media. But for many, it's just too little too late.
Hey, thanks so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and like and subscribe. You heard me. Like it, subscribe. You'll get a lot more of it and a lot more of me.